If you've tuned in to this video, then you are probably thinking about investing in rent to social housing, but maybe, just maybe, you reckon it's a little too good to be true and you want to know how secure your investment's going to be. Well, you're in luck. You're going to finish this video feeling way more comfortable with parting with your hard-earned money. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what we like to call at our business the 3 pillars, which is essentially what our security is based around. The 3 pillars are made up of the following 3 things: our company, Secure Space Housing, the landlord, and the housing provider. First things first, I want to give you the setup. So we, Secure Space Housing, are the managing agent in the middle of this entire transaction. We sit right in the middle between the landlord, the social housing provider, and the investor. We sign commercial, fully repaired and insuring leases with the landlord to take control of the property for a certain period of time. Normally, in our case, it's 3 years. And we then sign a mirrored agreement with the housing provider where they take the onus back from us, really, and they look after tenant management, tenant finding, voids, maintenance, etc. They take that headache away from us. So we have a landlord who passes their property to us on a commercial FRI lease. Now we are the virtual landlord. We then sign a commercial FRI lease with a housing provider who now take control of the property from us. Now, this is where you, the investor, comes in. The reason we actually need your money and we need you is that we need to get the property ready and compliant for our providers. Your investment refurbishes the property, it furnishes the property, it secures the property, and it also pays our fee. You receive a fixed amount of money per month for the length of the term, and in exchange for that, that's what we ask your investment for. Typically £15,000 will get you £600 a month for 36 months. Now that you hopefully have an idea and an overarching view of everyone's roles here, let me move properly onto what we call the 3 pillars. Firstly, we're going to start with the landlord. The commercial leases we have with these landlords are essentially long-term, robust contracts designed to protect both the landlord and the tenant. If, for example, you took out this type of property lease on a property in the high street, you are guaranteed certain rights, including but not limited to protection against eviction, for example. In our business, the security we offer is parallel to this sort of arrangement. Even if the landlord faces financial difficulties, our lease is safeguarded and attached to the property. For example, on a project we have live right now, if you'd like to know more about this, click the link below. The lease is secured against the block of flats, meaning that the tenants cannot simply be evicted, nor can our operations be simply disrupted, even if the property is sold or the owner goes bankrupt. Interestingly enough, if bankruptcy does occur, it actually relieves us from paying rent to the landlord under certain legal constraints that prohibit payments to someone that is declared bankrupt. Although we don't want our landlords to go bust at all, that's a relief for us. Now on to the provider. We have an additional layer of security through arrangements with social providers who place tenants such as asylum seekers or those in need of emergency housing in our properties. These agencies are committed, or these providers, sorry, are committed to cover the cost for these tenants and are backed by government funding. This setup ensures continuous payment flow and rehousing commitments, really. If a property was to go bankrupt, we have hundreds of other providers queuing up to take on this type of housing stock, and we make sure we are acquiring property in high demand areas, which means lots of providers need to house their tenants there. My business partner also has a thorough background in risk management for large global outfits, and personally makes sure we're working with housing providers who are financially astute. And we're not just saying or stating this, we back this up in writing too. The contract you will sign with us will have this legally written in and make it a legal obligation for us to get the contracts novated over to a new provider, our company. Our financial model is built to withstand interest rate fluctuations as we operate without any bank borrowings or financing. We use our own capital, our own money, and joint venture finance from investors, ensuring that we are unaffected by changes in interest rates. This structure eliminates the risk of increased lowest interest obligation and basically maintains our financial stability. Moreover, our profitability is not dependent on rental income margins. Basically, the rental income margin is the difference between what the social housing provider or housing provider pays us and then what we pay the landlord. We distribute that entire rent that we collect directly to you, our investor. Our earnings come solely from the initial setup stage of our investments. Just like I mentioned at the start of the video, your £15,000 gets the property ready to let, and it also pays our fee. Because what we earn solely comes from the initial setup stage, it significantly reduces our financial risk to our investors related to rental income variability or margin changes. And this ensures that our operational viability and financial health remain stable regardless of external economic conditions like this. By structuring our agreements to pass all rental income to investors and we secure our own profits up front, we align our operations with our financial security. This approach not only safeguards our financial stability, but it also benefits our investors. We function basically on a financial structure where the rental income received is immediately allocated to the investor. Basically, it's paid straight away to you once we receive it, and that minimizes our financial exposure. But most importantly, and this is truly the million-dollar question, what happens if we go bust or we go bankrupt? Does your investment go with us? The simple answer is no, and I'll tell you why. We write this into our contract that your investment will be legally novated directly to the provider, meaning you'll be paid by them for the remainder of the term, rather than being paid directly by us. We write this into our contracts with legal professionals that we pay to hold all the necessary contracts and paperwork throughout the transaction. So, in summary, number one, our commercial leases with landlords or working with landlords. The leases we have are watertight, and we as a company come attached to the building once they're signed, giving us lots of guaranteed rights. We work with so many providers that they're queuing up to take this stock, and if the provider goes bust, it's written into the contract that we will find you a new one. Second pillar, the providers. We work with so many providers that they are really queuing up to take our stock, and if the provider that is written into the contract goes bust, we are contracted to find you a new one. And then lastly, our company. Our operational model means we pay you the margin between what the provider pays us and what we pay the landlord. Our profit is not dependent on that margin. And if we were to go bust, it's written into the contract that you're put in direct contact with the provider and paid directly from them. That's it for another video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I've given you some massive value. If you're watching this and you would like to invest in your own rent to social housing unit, please get in touch with us. You can get hold of us on the links below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, particularly comment, because I love answering all your questions and I've been learning a lot recently myself too. With that all said, I'll see you in the next video.